So there's this new viral trend that's going around that's called DeInfluencing, and apparently it started on TikTok and now it's spilled over onto YouTube. And what I find funny about this is that a lot of creators have been posting about how minimalism as a trend is on its way out. But now we've got this new trend coming in, and it's checking a lot of the same boxes and touching on a lot of the same pain points that minimalism addressed in the first place. So as a minimalist of almost 7 years and someone who also happens to be a content creator and what some might call an influencer here on YouTube,
even though I hate that word,
I felt that I was in a unique position to dive into this topic. So today what we're going to do is we're going to explore, what does de-influencing mean anyway? We're going to compare de-influencing versus minimalism. I'm going to share a little bit about my experience with de-influencing as a minimalist and how I lost over $100,000 and why that doesn't bother me at all. And in fact, I'm actually happy to lose that money, and a few tips to help you de-influence like a minimalist as well. I can honestly say I never expected there was going to come a time where I would be discussing TikTok trends on my channel, so let's dive in. So first of all, let's talk about what de-influencing actually means. So today.com ran an article, and what they said in their article was that just like it sounds like, it's content creators encouraging people not to buy or use something. And as far as I can tell, the original audio that kind of started this whole movement was this one here.
I am here to de-influence you. Do not get the UGG minis. Do not get the Dyson Airwrap. Do not get the Charlotte Tilbury one. Do not get the Stanley Cup. Do not get Colleen Hoover books. Do not get the AirPods Pro Max.
And it was funny when I was listening to these things because I realized just how de-influenced I must already be, because literally I've never heard of a single one of these things, which I can only assume are popular on TikTok. And I was shocked, shooketh, to find out that the Dyson Airwrap actually sells for over $600. And apparently it's a tool that is supposed to dry your hair and style it into curls with minimum heat. You know what else gives you amazing curls with no heat whatsoever? Literally a long strip of fabric and air. Just air. It doesn't get much more free than air. I've also fallen into the trap of buying so many products to try and get luscious curls, and the thing that worked best for me, better than any of the products or tools that I ever bought, was my bathrobe tie and wrapping it up in that and just letting my hair air dry while I slept. So there you go, right there. I have de-influenced you and saved you $600. And if that doesn't deserve a like on this video and a subscribe to my channel, I don't know what does. Anyway, I think the biggest point that people are trying to make in these videos is not to not buy these things, but not to buy so many things in general just because some influencer on TikTok or Instagram or wherever told you to do so. And I hate to say it, but I think that some of the people who are jumping on the de-influencing trend are kind of missing the point there, because a lot of them aren't using the de-influencing trend as a way to curb spending and overconsumption, but rather as a way to say, don't buy this one specific product, but buy this other specific product instead, which of course is still influencing, right? So I think that those videos that are using the de-influencing tag would be better identified as something like anti-hauls or product reviews or swaps, you know, one of those kinds of hashtags. So let's talk about de-influencing and compare it to minimalism. Minimalism has been around for a lot longer. As a lifestyle trend, it kind of peaked in popularity in early 2017, but the history of minimalism goes back much further. And it kind of started gaining momentum in art and architecture around the 1960s. But there are certain themes and principles that can be traced back to ancient times, including things like religious teachings of Buddhism, and even in the writings of Greek and Roman philosophers over 2,000 years ago. Minimalism as a lifestyle is something that's deeply personal and unique to each person who is practicing it. And there's no one single set of rules that you have to follow in order to be considered a minimalist. But at its core, minimalism means being intentional with the way that you live your life and trying to get rid of anything that doesn't align with your values and beliefs, and creating more space for the things that do matter to you. By comparison, social media influencers haven't been around that long, let alone this fairly recent trend of de-influencing. The hashtag de-influencing already has 247 million views at the time of this video, and it's now accumulated subcategories like hashtag de-influencing skincare, hashtag de-influencing makeup, and hashtag de-influencing products. I actually did have to go onto TikTok to find some examples for this video essay. And what I found really interesting was going there to see how many niches that I've never even heard of were calling out and de-influencing products and topics in their niche sphere. I think I just made up a new word, guys. I looked it up and no one has ever said this word before anywhere on the interwebs. Anyway, the best videos on this topic were the ones that were calling out things like, you don't need to have 17 different kinds of blush or to wear a brand new outfit every single day, just because those are the kinds of behaviors that are being promoted to us all the time on social media. So 3 problems that I've noticed with influencing as a minimalist that might have kind of spurred on this de-influencing trend is number 1, the unrealistic expectation that influencer culture creates about what normal consumption looks like. And number 2, it encourages patterns of overspending that make it harder for people to live within their means and can even result in a lot of debt. And then finally, there are the unethical practices where influencers hype up or recommend products that they don't like or have never even used. One of the things that came up in my research about the de-influencing movement was something called Mascaragate, where a beauty influencer was accused of using fake eyelashes to promote some mascara that she was doing a sponsored post for and not disclosing it, and kind of using editing and kind of cuts that made it look like it was all the mascara, but she had actually applied false eyelashes. And all of this kind of reminded me of a story that I had seen a while back in the news where, as a social experiment, 3 influencers were approached to promote a weight loss drink called Cyanura, which was disclosed to them as containing the product hydrogen cyanide, which those of you who have any level of chemistry or common sense know is poisonous. And I just have to say A++ to the person who came up with the name Cyanura. This is some expert level trolling here. And it was really interesting to see how everyone was reacting to this social experiment when it was revealed in the press. And just to be clear, I don't think that all influencers are bad or guilty of this. And I think a good filter is to ask, does this person talk about or use or recommend things that they don't make money from or that don't come with strings attached? Like, are they going to sit down and tell you about how much they love peanut butter and jalapeno sandwiches without trying to sell you a sandwich keeper or some kind of special container to hold your jalapenos? I don't know why people think that peanut butter and jalapenos is weird, because in my opinion, it is one of the best flavor combinations on the planet. So I am influencing you to try this. You're gonna love it. That's the new PB&J. So now I'd like to talk about my experience as someone who is a minimalist, but also a content creator here on YouTube, my blog, and my very, very small Instagram account. So here on my channel, I talk a lot about topics related to intentional living and minimalism and decluttering and frugal living, because those are the things that have made the biggest difference in my life and that I'm super passionate about. And I'm definitely someone who encourages people to buy and consume less, because it not only helps you save money and the environment, but also helps keep clutter out of your home. But I'm also human and extremely practical, so I believe that minimalism isn't about never buying anything ever again, but rather aligning the way that I spend my money with the things that matter to my family and myself, and the things that we want to make space for in our home and our lives. So what that looks like is I buy and decorate according to my personal tastes and not trends. And for example, I have a very, what I would consider non-aesthetic bed, and the pink flower quilt that's on top is actually a sentimental piece that was made by my grandmother, who has long since passed away. She actually quilted it for me before she died so that I could have it at my wedding 5 years after her passing. And so for me, that's more meaningful than anything that I could buy at a store. And I'm also very willing to talk about the things that I buy that didn't work out so well or that I just plain don't like. And one example that I can think of is the rug bowl that I purchased with money out of my own pocket. I was not gifted this rug bowl, and I'm not a huge fan of the rug. It's not something that I would recommend to other people, and I found that the ordering experience and the customer service for after purchase was really disappointing. So I would never recommend this brand to anyone else. I just keep it in my office because it does what I intended it to do, which is to help with the echoes in our minimalist home. It helps a little bit. And that's just one example of some of the purchases that I've shared here on this channel about things that I purchased and didn't make me happy and fell short of expectations. So now I thought we'd dive into a little bit about how I've lost money de-influencing and why that doesn't bother me at all. So one way is that I talk about things even if I don't make money from them at all, but simply just because I like them. And some examples of this is our couch, which is from IKEA, which doesn't have an affiliate program, but I get so many questions about it, and I'm happy to refer people and tell them it's a Landskrona 4-seater and how much we adore it because it's so easy to clean, it was easy to put together, it was affordable. So it's really been a great purchase for us and a great investment in our home. And then things like our dining room chairs. I always feel so bad about this because our dining room chairs are one of the things that I get asked the most about on my channel. And unfortunately, it seems like the brand went out of business 2 years ago, and it's also a German brand, so most of my audience is in the United States, and so they wouldn't be able to get it anyway. And even if I did have a working link for them, there was like no affiliate program where I would be making money off of them. Because when I find something that I enjoy or that has added a lot of value to my life, or I feel like is a really smart hack for people to use, I am happy to talk about it, even if I don't make money from it. And one example that I can think of specifically is the Rakuten cashback app or online shop. And I've recommended it in a couple of my videos on like saving money and frugal living, because if you're going to buy something anyway, why not make a little bit money back? That's my philosophy. And I had people that were saying,
oh, you only recommend it because you make money off of it.
And in fact, that is not the case, because normally people could make money recommending this Rakuten program to people, but that actually only works if both parties are in the United States. And because I'm in Europe, I am actually ineligible to receive any money for Rakuten. So I went and I took a look at it, and in the past time period, that's from January to March, I think, I've already recommended 35 people. So right there, that could be $500 there. So that means that I've probably lost $24,000 over the course of 4 years, not being able to make money from it, but still feeling like I'm helping people by recommending that thing. And then another way I've de-influenced as a minimalist is I probably refuse 99% of the sponsorship offers that come my way. And sponsorships for me fall into 3 categories. There's the stuff that I would never use or promote, and that could be things like silk pajamas or bobblehead dolls. I mean, you would not believe the messages that I get for people who want to work with me for the most ridiculous of products. And I'm like,
Do you know I'm a minimalism channel?
then there's the stuff that I would be interested in, but I don't need because I already have something that fulfills that purpose. And one example I can think of this is I got an offer to work with a company that makes like telescoping desks. So these desks can like stand up and you can work sitting or standing at them. And I thought that this was so cool. And actually my husband had this kind of desk back when we lived in the United States at his office, and he loved it and thought it was so cool. But I already have a desk and I like my desk. It works exactly as a desk should. I think it looks great. And so I don't want to get rid of the perfectly good desk that I already have simply to be able to try and promote another product, even if I have interest in it. And then the smallest category is the stuff that I do use and that I am willing to recommend. And then if you take my sponsorship rate, which I'm someone who has almost 200,000 followers here on YouTube, I have almost, how many do I have on Instagram? 10,000? I don't even know. And then my blog also gets over 1 million visitors per year. So between Instagram, my blog, and my YouTube channel, it is very conservative to say that I could be charging $1,000 per each of those sponsorship posts. So as I sat down to like write these numbers out and run the calculations, it was actually shocking to me to see how much money that was over the course of the time that I've been an influencer. And I think you can kind of see how someone would have a huge financial incentive as a social media influencer to accept these kinds of deals. At the end of the day, I don't want to be receiving a whole bunch of free stuff in the chance that I may or may not like it in my home and then feel obligated to talk about that. If I went back to the past, I would not change a single choice that I've made. I wouldn't accept one more product. I wouldn't accept one more sponsorship. I'm 100% confident and happy in the choices that I've made and will continue to make going forward. So after all of this discussion, what are some tips for you to de-influence like a minimalist? The number one tip that I can give to you is to filter your follows. And basically, who you give your attention to matters so much. If you are following people who make you feel bad about yourself, or like you're constantly behind, or that they're leading this extravagant life and you want to have the things that they have, and so it's making you spend money or even go into debt trying to copy their lifestyle, this is not a healthy parasocial relationship to have. I would encourage you to unfollow or mute those accounts and give your attention to people who help you improve your life and put you in a positive mindset. And then another thing you can do is implement the 30-day rule. And I have heard other people talk about the 48-hour rule, which is when you find something, wait 48 hours to think about it before you decide to go buy that thing. But as a minimalist, I actually wait much longer than that. I use the 30-day rule and I will write something down. Usually what I do is I write it in the notes app on my phone and I wait and have kind of like a cooling down period where I can think about it and decide, okay, well, do I want this thing still? Or was it maybe more of an impulse emotional buy that I kind of just had this knee-jerk reaction to wanting it when I saw it? And I would say like 90% of the time, you do not want that thing and you're okay with just letting that purchase go. And that can save you a lot of money and a lot of clutter in your home in the long run. And then another tip that I have for you is to audit your belongings and ask yourself, do I already own something that is very similar or even exactly like this thing? So like you might find that you don't need to buy another pair of black leggings because you already have a very similar pair in your home. Black leggings are pretty much black leggings. Again, these are just a few tips that can help you be more intentional with how you shop and spend your money. And if you're looking for more ideas on how minimalism can save you money, make sure to go check out this video or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.